Mr. Hartgrave here with your guide to Marvel Strike Force Flash events. Which ones to build for, which ones to skip. Now, this is all part of my ongoing series to help out beginners. If you have missed the other videos in the series, first off, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get all the videos that are coming out. Like this video, share it around with anybody else that needs help. And I'd like to direct you to this part of my YouTube channel. So here we are here, subscriber count rising by the day. Thank you, good people, for doing that. And for joining us live at Twitch TV/Mr. Hartgrave. We got no viewers right now, but that's because we're not live. We're recording this. Actually, this is part of a two-part video in itself. This part dropping today, the next part tomorrow, probably. So yeah, make sure you subscribe and then make sure you scroll down here to this Marvel Strike Force Beginners Start Here. And this is where we have these beginner guides. This is part 1. This is part 2. So make sure you've seen these or, you know, have what we're going to start discussing right now. We're going to start discussing what we talked about. We're going to pick up right where we left off in part 2 here, the team building guide. We're working from that. And we're assuming that you have, these teams, that you're far enough along in the game that you have this hero team and you have this villain team. So this is what we covered in part 1 and part 2. Well, in part 1, we covered this. And then in part 2, furthermore, we covered getting Wakanda. We covered getting a strong Spider-Verse team. We covered Young Avengers. We covered what mutants you would be unlocking, and we covered like what extra characters you would have. So make sure that you're kind of at this point in the game that you have these characters unlocked. If you're not if you do not have these characters unlocked, then check out those first 2 videos on the channel. They're linked right here in this playlist. Start Here and Team Building Guide. That's part 1 and part 2. That'll walk you through how to get these teams. Now, once you have these teams, and what you came here for today is, okay, now what do I do? How do I get ready for to unlock Doom? And what do I do about these flash events that happen, you know, every month? Which ones of these should I focus on? Should I start building this up? What should I avoid? And that's what I'm going to talk about now. And we're going to talk about unlocking Doom in the next video. That's the next part, is unlocking Doom. So don't worry, that's coming. But right now, we're going to talk about the events in no real particular order. We're going to start with Payday. Now, Payday, people probably think this is super important, right? I would assume most content creators out here are going to tell you that Payday is super important. Start building up your mercenaries. Mr. Hartgrave's not going to say that. Mr. Hartgrave's not going to say that at all. And there's another video on that playlist that is called the Resource Guide. And I'm going to point you towards that. A lot of my advice stemming on these flash events is going to stem from this resource guide that's on this playlist as well. And this is going to tell you what to hoard, how to spend your gold, to make sure that you don't need the gold that comes from Payday. I'm going to do a couple of hot takes here. This hot take is going to be all of the gold that I ever earned from Payday, I have wasted. Almost certainly, the gold that I get from Payday, that I've always received from Payday, has been wasted. So this is not something to rush into. This is not something to focus on or build for. I think that as a new player, you do not want to waste your time farming mercenaries for some imaginary gold that you think you need. What I think you should do instead is focus on building these teams, farming these characters from nodes, and not getting hung up on mercenaries. I do have some suggestions of what extra characters to farm, and it's not mercenaries, okay? It is not mercenaries by far. The good news here is that you will be building Killmonger, and Killmonger can solo this mercenary event. So if you naturally get shards for the mercenaries, you don't need them to be strong at all. You don't need to build these characters. So, you know, of course, you'll naturally be getting stars for these characters over the life of the game. You can, you know, spend the gold to put the stars on them so that you're ready to, you know, unlock tiers of Payday naturally as you progress. But as far as farming these characters, no, I cannot advise that. I would not be focused on Payday. Build up Killmonger, but Payday itself is a hard pass. Not to be focused on, not to be worried about. I would not worry about that at all. If you're only spending 1 million gold a day and you're not trying to push your account into a wall, which is what you're doing, you're going to end up in bottlenecks. You don't need the gold that comes from Payday. I know it sounds nuts, but it's true. It's absolutely true. All right, the next event that we're going to talk about is Relic Hunt. And for Relic Hunt, they want you to have hand. This is another event that you can pass, that you do not need to focus on. Once I have not powered up my hand team since I beat like level 7 or level 8, whatever the hardest level of Relic Hunt is. This is what I use to get there. So you don't need to power up hand at all. Unlock it as time progresses, get into it, whatever. Not something to focus on. I would not waste my resources farming hand. Let it come to you over time, but not something to focus on. What we are going to focus on, okay, we've skipped a lot of these events now. One that we're going to focus on is going to be Block Party. I feel Block Party probably has the highest value out of any of the Flash events. It is the one, and thankfully enough, it actually has characters that are worth building on it. So that's great. Not only is it important, but you can actually build some characters for it. So it needs city hero characters. And the characters I'm going to suggest, which are the characters we've already been working on if you followed my advice this far, is Squirrel Girl, Spider-Man, Miles, Miss Marvel, and then it's kind of up to you on that last one. You could go for Shang-Chi, and I think Shang-Chi is a good character and is going to come up when I talk about the next phase of your development in Marvel Strike Force. We're going to talk about Shang-Chi. But another character that I want to point you towards for Block Party, which is already in your roster because they give you him for free, is Punisher. I feel that Punisher is very valuable to new players. He boosts the damage of all your other city heroes, which is going to be one of your major teams. He's a great fill-in character. He's a great skill character. And we're going to talk about him a lot. We're going to talk about him again in this video, and we're going to talk about him again in the next video quite a bit. So yeah, Punisher is definitely worth doing. Another thing to keep an eye on for Block Party is Symbiote Spider-Man, which you might be at the point where you're unlocking, although you're going to get Punisher far before you get Symbiote Spider-Man. And we're going to keep an eye on how they're going to make Ghost Spider and Scarlet Spider farmable. I know Ghost Spider's in the raids right now, and we're getting some shards from her. I don't know if you're going to be able to get her up to 7 stars, though, doing that. With Silver Surfer, when they did that, they did drop that off before a lot of players were able to max him out. And now we're seeing Silver Surfer come to a node. So I'm guessing if they follow history, Ghost Spider will also come to a node after she's done being in the raid milestones to be replaced by some other character that we desperately need, most certainly. But for right now, once again, what we're going to do for Block Party is Squirrel Girl, Spider-Man, Miles, Miss Marvel, and then your choice, either Punisher or Shang-Chi. I would actually probably think that Punisher's easier to get, although you might get more long-term mileage out of Shang-Chi. Maybe not, though. Punisher is pretty good. Just spitting facts. All right, moving down. Another event that we're going to focus on, which we've already covered. Like, we're already here. You've already done it. If you followed my advice to this point, you've unlocked Wakanda, and you're ready to go. You're ready to go for Chaos Theory. So that's great. That's another important event. Getting those promo credits is going to be key, especially for a new player. I cannot stress this enough. You're going to need silver credits as a new player. The good news is they're giving you over 150 silver credits for free every month. So you will be able to get your key members of your roster up to, 5 red stars where you really need them to start doing things like, unlocking legendaries through Scourge, participating in some of the better game modes like Tower and Pocket Dimension. You're going to need the red stars on your characters to be able to actually get the most out of those. So the good news is we are focusing heavily on Wakanda for my new player advice. It's one of the reasons why I decided to make these videos is because they came out and they reworked Wakanda, and it gave us a very good path to an in-game team for a new player. So you got it, use it. Chaos Theory, it's coming along. It's all the more reason to focus on Wakanda as a new player as opposed to the other teams. All right, back to things that aren't as good for new players. Back to boot camp, training materials. Oh man. Once again, your training materials are going to be limited if you are pushing the end game too fast. If you're spending more than 1 million gold per day, you're going to run out of training materials as well as gold. And this is going to seem more important than it is. But raising up skill military characters, wasting your time farming them is going to set you back in the long run. They're just not good. There's no use for skill military. It was never a good team. It has not improved. Now, once again, we're talking about Punisher again, though. And your Killmonger and Punisher will absolutely carry this. You don't need much power in the rest of the team once you get their stars naturally. But I would not farm Yelena. I would not farm Red Guardian. I would not farm Black Widow. I would not farm Mercenary Soldier. Though Mercenary Soldier will do double duty for you and help you out with payday as well. That's nice, but once again, just as useless if you're not pushing the end game, if you're not pushing towards the end. And even then, you're going to waste so much time farming these characters that you're giving up so much distance anyways, that I think it's just wasted time. So don't focus on this. Get it when you get it. Build up Killmonger, build up Punisher so that when you get the stars on the rest of the characters, you're going to be able to use them. Look, I got 7 red on Yelena. I haven't built her. She's got no purpose in this game. Absolutely useless. All right, the final Flash event and the most laughable out of all of them, especially for new players, has got to be Nowhere Heist. Oh my God. How stupid is this? It's like, how are you going to do this as a new player? There's no goddamn way. So I don't know if I need to explain this to you or not, but look, you got like 3 legendary characters on here. And there's no way you're getting these characters quickly. There's no way you're getting these dark credits. The good news is if you open your basic orbs when dark credits are boosted, you really shouldn't even need this event. It's got it's got a couple of 7 elites on there when you max it out. But look, odds are just wait until they add more Nowhere Heist characters, if they ever do. I don't know what their plan is on this, but for a new player, this is going to take years to unlock at high levels. You can trust me on that. I'm Mr. Hartgrave. Thanks for checking this guide out. I hope it helps you. It guides you towards which Flash events you're going to work on and ignore the ones that will waste your time. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below. And Gravediggers, keep digging. Myself, but myself keeps slipping.